What's going on, people? Welcome back to the match preview as we look ahead to the tie against Leeds on Sunday. Joined by AJ here to look ahead to that game. It's going to be a massive one, another cup final for Palace. But as always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to not miss out on future content. AJ, it feels good doing these shows where we win. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've done a preview after a win. How have you been feeling after that Leicester win? Like, have you been relaxed? Have you been over the moon? You know,
I've been a happy man. I can tell you what, man. I've been watching the replays. I've been watching Palace YouTube. I've been watching Sky Sports YouTube, watching that Mateta goal, watching the reaction, going back over my videos of the reaction of the crowd. It's kind of weird when you actually think about it in comparison to the rest of the league and stuff like that. But just having that win, man, and the feel good factor back has just it's put me in a positive mood about Palace, man. It's got something for me to get excited about on a weekend finally.
Exactly, and we need to carry that momentum. Look, for me, I'm excited. For once, I'm excited about a game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not gonna get carried away and talk about it's a must win or we're gonna win. But we'll talk about that in the show anyways. It's a match preview. Look, let's start off with this. I think it's another cup final. Going away at Leeds, I don't think it's going to be easy by any means. It's going to be a much harder game than Leicester. Of course, we're missing some key players, so we'll be talking about those. Who replaces Will? He's out. And up front, would you like to see maybe a change? Mateta scoring the last minute goal. I know AJ didn't rate the goal. It was average according to AJ, but we'll talk about that. Look, let's start off with how we're feeling ahead of the game. As you mentioned, AJ, you are excited. You are feeling a bit more confident. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you? Like, let me get a real sense of how you're actually feeling. How confident are you ahead of the game? Because I don't think Leeds is going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be an easy game, as I just said.
I think if we emphasise the importance, just like we did with Leicester, reality of the situation is this is another huge game because over a team at that side of the table, or just to give us that reassurance, we could potentially be looking at a 4-point gap over a team like Leeds. So it's another cup final. It's another important point to get 3 points. I think anything other than a win will be kind of underwhelming in relation to what we need. Obviously, yeah, we know a couple key players are out, one specific, Wilfred Zaha. So, we're going to be feeling the effects of that. I don't know, man. There's something different in the air with us, man, in terms of the fans and support. We understand that obviously it's going to be the Easter Sunday, so the away support won't be as large as we anticipate. Yeah. Obviously, I know that's been coming up, and I know we didn't really plan for that, but that one just crossed my mind just now. Confidence, 7, 8 out of 10. I think we can get a positive result there. I think if we turn up, we play to our strengths, and we do showcase a little bit of what we saw in Leicester and try and build on that, then obviously we are looking at a potential positive result. What we have to understand is it's an away day at Ellen Road. We've also got to take into consideration we're not going to have Wilf in the team, and we're not dealing with no bums here. Like, Leeds have definitely shown a bit of form recently with the new management. The fresh faces they've got in the squad, they're not bums. They've got some very good, talented players in there. I'm not sure about Rodrigo's fitness, but he's one I'd be worried about. McKennie and Tyler Adams are also quite of an experienced threat. But I think their defence can be got at if we play to our strengths and we do a little bit more and create opportunities. 30 shots on target or whatever it was would be nice, but
30 shots,
we'll see what happens.
Nice. I don't think we're going to have 30 shots. I don't think we're going to have another game of 30 shots. And that's why we have to be realistic with our expectations as well. And that's why I asked you how confident you are. And you mentioned it. You mentioned it there about the 30 shots. Look, that was fantastic against Leicester. And trust me, I think it was going back to the basics and just telling the players to be more direct, attack the players, and just go forward. Enough of these, passing around. And even though we did keep a good amount of possession, I can't remember top of my head, but by the eye test, we still control the game. We were way more direct. So I'm expecting that kind of approach from Roy in this game as well. Maybe he might be a bit more defensive because Wilf is out. Do you think he might change it about in terms of the approach?
It's an interesting fact because I've seen a few people kind of mention and put up their 11s and what they kind of hope to see replacing who's just swap around the pitch. I know we'll go into that in a moment, but I guess it depends on how sort of Roy will do it. The beauty of it is Roy has the experience and Roy knows the squad. However, I do remember under Roy that without Wilf, our record wasn't particularly that fantastic. So that does sit in the back of my mind. However, we do have a lot more creative threats in our squad, i.e. the Eze, Elise side of things, Mateta, Edward, whoever it may be. I think, yeah, it's gonna be a hard one to be fair. I'm not sold on the idea that we're going to go over there and run them over. I don't think that'll happen for one bit. I think that we are looking at. I think we're looking at a tougher game for sure than what we would have had against Leicester, because Leicester are in a very different structure. And remember, Leeds are now in a much more structured atmosphere with Garcia at the helm for them. And it seems that he is squeezing and getting the best out of their players. And remember, what we got to take into consideration is, yes, there is a 4-point opportunity there for us. But remember, for Leeds, that's an opportunity for them to potentially overtake us in the league and get an opportunity and obviously guarantee their safety.
At home. Exactly.
At home, at Ellen Road. The fans will be back for him. It'll be an Easter Sunday for obviously all the local fans up there. So if the players can overcome that and we can play to our strengths and utilize our attacking threats, you don't know, man. You don't know. But it's good to actually be in a position where we feel that, or I at least feel that, there's definitely something about us now, and there's just a different sort of feeling in the air in terms of the positivity around the place. I'm just praying on a combination of Roy's experience versus can we utilize and get at Leeds. And I think the thing that will work if we do want to get at Leeds is we got to attack them early. I think we've got to take a goal for them early because they will be up for it. Sunday game, Ellen Road, home, knowing what is on the line for them as well as us. It's gonna be a cup final for them as well, for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I said our remaining games are all cup finals because it's teams that's around us, and that's why we need to try go out there with the mentality that, all right, Leicester, we celebrated, it's fantastic, we're going into this game with momentum, but be realistic, be concentrated, don't let Leeds start the game fast, because if you give them that confidence, then you're going to just be sitting back and you're going to be struggling to attack, especially without the likes of Wilf. And let's talk about that. Wilf not available in this game. For me, I would like to see the likes of maybe Jordan Ayew start down the left hand side, and the reason for that is because when he did come on, yes, he got the assist, which was great, because we've been speaking about his production levels and how he needs to do more. But the thing that stood out for me the most is he was beating his player and he was cutting in down the left-hand side and causing problems like that. And the other option is the likes of Jeffrey Schlupp. But I like Schlupp through the middle. I know in the second half he didn't do as well. If I had to pick between the both of them, I would go for Jordan Ayew. I don't know about you, but I feel like he's a better attacking threat if you remove the pace aspect to the game than the likes of Jeffrey Schlupp. Would you agree with that?
To an extent, I mean, because what Leeds starting right back is Luke Ayling. So Luke Ayling is the kind of player, as far as I'm aware, that he will kind of get in that player's face and he won't cut back on tackling and being aggressive and really getting under their skin. And I think, looking at it, I think that's a Jordan Ayew speciality because, yes, Jeffrey Schlupp can get physical, but I think that Ayew would win a lot more fouls and create a few more opportunities, and he won't stop running at him for that whole game. Even if he does, he gets up and has his little sulk and then he kind of gets on with it. I think that's a more of an attacking threat than what Jeffrey Schlupp can offer. And for what it's worth, I'd rather see, I guess it depends on what Roy decides to pick in selection process, but I think I'd rather see Schlupp in a more impact sub kind of side of things. Because later on in the game where the defense is kind of on their legs, hopefully, somebody powerful like Jeffrey Schlupp coming off the bench and giving them something to worry about on that attacking right-hand side, that attacking left-hand side, is something that would potentially create more of a threat rather than doing it the other way around. But then maybe it might work. I mean, at the end of the day, Ayew came on as an impact sub.
Yeah, do you think that's going to... I don't think Schlupp gets dropped. He doesn't get dropped after last game. He doesn't get dropped.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one because...
That's why I'll go with Jordan Ayew. I think I'll say this. Jordan Ayew dribbling is one of the most underrated things. I know he hasn't got goals and assists in him, but he can dribble and he can control the ball. And that's what you need. I feel like just actual football ability, I feel like Jordan Ayew has more technical ability than Jeffrey Schlupp, and that might cause Luke Ayling a bit more problems. But I'll start with Ayew. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Another attacking question mark is Mateta. Now, you gave him 6 out of 10. You thought it was fine. He just done his job. The only thing that he done is score a goal in the last minute, excellent touch and a finish. But after that final seconds of the game, after scoring that goal, would you like him to start? Do you think he deserves to start because he scored that goal? For me, I would probably stick with Edouard. I would stick with Edouard because I don't think Edouard had a bad game against Leicester. I feel like he was involved. Maybe he could have done a bit better in and around the box, but he looked more up for it. Maybe it was his problems with Vieira. I don't know what it was, but in his first game under Roy, he looked more up for it. So I'll still stick with Edouard. But if it doesn't work out and if Edouard is struggling, then I'll 100% bring on Mateta. Because I know that goal was massive, but still, I don't think that has convinced me 100% to start Mateta straight away.
It depends what Roy wants to do, because there are other factors to consider, which I've never seen Roy do before, but then he never had the players to make those type of decisions, because there is an argument. Why not 4-4-2? Why not stick 2 strikers up there, Edouard and Mateta? There's also an opening there for Edouard to obviously naturally play on the left. He's done that before, and he's proven that he can be relatively quite confident there. Or argument's sake, make Mateta work harder for it. Maybe potentially bring him on a little bit earlier, and then give the Leeds team something else to worry about. Because factor-wise, the way I always look at the two of them, or the way I compare with them is, and I might be shooting myself in the foot a little bit here, but Edouard is a more foot-to-feet player, whereas Mateta is a little bit more of an aerial type player.
Nah, he's not. I disagree.
But this is where I need to defend myself before I go down this path. He's not an aerial threat, as we saw in the last game. But I think that...
No, not even just the last game. He can't jump. Like, I don't want to slate him because he just got to go, but even don't you remember that game? I don't know if you saw it about a few weeks ago, Wilf at training. And then Mateta went and then even he said as well, he can't jump. Man United away from home, literally, Bruno Fernandes overdropped him.
But then there's a debate that he scored headers.
But he ain't an aerial threat.
I mean, there's a debate to say that he scored from headers before.
Yeah, but
it's not.
I don't think he's an aerial threat. I think, funny enough, I think Edouard is still more of an aerial threat than he is. And neither of them.
That one I would disagree with 100%, because you and I both know, you've seen, man, 100 times, man. When that ball comes over the top, route one, Edouard ain't winning that ball. Whereas Mateta's got... Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because Mateta is more physical, as we saw against Leicester. When he came on for those sort of last few minutes, he was a little bit more physical and gave Shotter a lot more to worry about. Because off the top of my head, forgive me for saying so.
If I had to pick one of them, I would pick Edouard over Mateta if you talk about aerial ability. For me, Mateta, I don't think he's not good at all in here, whereas he should be for his height. So who would you go for then?
I think we'll go for Edouard anyway. If we're just going off momentum and what we saw against Leicester, I would always start with Edouard. Now I think it's time to give Edouard the run out that he deserves, and I think from what I saw in the last game, that's enough for me to kind of keep the faith in him. Now I think I was sold enough in the last game to be convinced that he could do that job. And I think if we're just going based on form and what we saw recently, maybe bring Mateta on earlier on in the second half. If it's not working out for Edouard, you could switch. Or if it's not working out in terms of the supply, maybe move Edouard down to the left and then obviously give Mateta his chance to play on the front foot. It's interesting because this is a new version of Roy and a new type of set of players that he's got to work with. So he might potentially be able to bring us something different. You don't know.
Yeah, well, Roy said after the game, he said that Edouard, he liked what he saw from him. He was just tired. And based on what he said, I think he's going to still stick with Eddie. I do, but we'll see. We'll see. That's the biggest question mark. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you guys think that Roy will make that change up front and Mateta could potentially be starting against Leeds? For me, I think it'll still be Edouard, but there is a possibility, 100%. There is. But let's look at the league table ahead of game week 30. As we can see, Palace still remain 12.
Surprise.
God knows how long. Surprise, water's wet. If we win this game, we should remain 12th. A draw could potentially bring us down to 14th, depending on results. And a loss, same. The worst case scenario could be 18th as well. My question is, would you be happy with a draw? I said this after the Leicester game. I would 100% be happy with a draw in this game. It's all about momentum. It's a game away from home without Wilf. And, you know, I'm not going to have expectations of 30 shots on target and we're just going to be, you know, liquid football and we're going to be this attacking threat. I think it's going to be a struggle away from home. Leeds are not a bad side. So give me a point right now. I'll take it and move on to the next game. For you, do you think you'll be happy with that?
I'd rather steal a last minute winner again. That'd be nice. But if we're
Last minute
hey,
winner, you set it
you
off the
gotta
bench and
pray,
then
Matera again.
reload it.
Then I'll
Reload
give
it.
him a 7. Then I'll give him a 7. Then I'll give him a 7.
Yeah.
He's got to earn those points, man. No, but fun and jog aside, I would love. God, I mean, a draw would be all right, but thinking from an instinct side of things and what we need in terms of guaranteeing our safety, I do want to win, but my head is telling me a draw, take it all day. But then I guess that kind of just then creates the latent issue that where are we going to start picking up the extra points from? Because I'd rather be safe sooner or later rather than do a last minute one against Nottingham Forest on the last game of the season.
Yeah, but then we've still got games. We've got Southampton coming up.
But that's the thing. Are we relying a little bit? Are we in danger of relying on the weaker, or in our eyes, the weaker teams that we're going to get the guaranteed points? That's where my fear is.
They're also in a battle with us. If we draw this game, then the gap widens as well from the bottom, and they don't overtake us. If we win, of course, everyone wants to win, but I think I'll still be happy with a draw going into this game.
I mean, the draw is all right.
I know they're struggling, but they are actually, they're struggling based on where they are in the league table, but they're not a bad side ever since Garcia's come in. They are actually a solid side. So being realistic with it all, away from home, Leeds, I can't remember us ever really since they got promoted, giving them a good performance away from home. I know we beat them at home. I would be happy with a point. I'll be happy with a point because it keeps some momentum going without Wilf. And I think they're going to be up for it. The home crowd's going to be up for it as well. And it means that they can't overtake us in the league position. And that's another game gone like that.
True. I think a draw would be enough. Like, a draw's not going to have me raging or going crazy, to be honest. But I just feel like I wouldn't be personally satisfied. That's all it is. But a draw would be enough for us to keep us afloat. So essentially anything but a loss. That's how I'm looking at it. I mean, Leeds is a big one. And I think if we're looking at those fixtures come towards the run-in, Leeds is one I would like us to take a punt at, because I feel like it's not particularly a guaranteed win, but it's definitely one we should be putting on the considering targeting in terms of getting some big boy points on the board.
I disagree.
I don't want us to play for a draw. I want us to rather play for the win. And if we walk away with a draw, I'd be satisfied. I just don't want the guys to sit back, wait for the counter, and then pray, and then hopes and prayers, and then we blow it.
Yeah, but then on the counter, we might be a bit more of a threat away from home. We'll be less
well, I'm just saying that what you've got to look into consideration is the team does look a lot more livelier now. The team does look a little bit more sharper and on the ball now. And I know we're missing probably our greatest threat in terms of the attack wise, but I think there's enough in the rest of the squad, and from what I saw against Leicester, to suggest that we're capable of getting the goals and we're capable of pushing all the way to the end. A draw would be all right, but I just feel like I'd be a little bit unsatisfied. That's just how I feel about it.
Fair enough. For me, I'm looking at the other games. But look, Leeds in the last 5 games, they've beaten Forest most recently. They lost to Arsenal, beaten Wolves, drew against Brighton. They've got points against side that's in and around them. They lost to Chelsea as well. So they've got 2 wins and a draw in the last 5 games. And if you watch them play, they definitely look like a side that's more likely to stay up under Garcia than they did under Jesse Marsh. So for that reason, I'll be happy with a point away from home. And also head-to-head under Roy. We lost to Leeds 2-0 away under Roy. It was a loss at their ground, but we also beat them 4-1 at our ground. So, last time we went there under Roy, it was 2-0 defeat, and we didn't score any goals. So, it's not going to be easy travel. Even under Vieira, we lost. I was there. It was last-minute penalty decision from Mark Gahey. In the last seconds of last season, I think it was. So
I remember.
It's never easy ground. Yeah, it's never easy game or ground to go to. But in terms of Palace, who are looking to perform in this game? For me, it has to be Eze. He had a great game against Leicester. He looked like his old self. He was confident, on the ball, energized, trying to pick out passes, trying to create. Of course, the goal didn't count, which is unfortunate because it should have been his goal. But without Wilf, we need Ebbs back on it in this game as well, because he needs to carry us, him and the likes of Elise. But for you, anyone else stand out? For me, the defense was great. The midfield was great. Also, midfield, the Corey. Remember, if he gets another yellow card...
He was solid.
Yeah, but if he gets another yellow card, he'll be out for the Southampton. And if him and Wilf are out at the same time, that could be a bit worrying. So he needs to be careful in this game as well. at least for the next 2 games or so until Will comes back?
I think for me, with the Decore conundrum, I guess it's a case of just keeping his head, keeping it simple. I think one of the really good things I liked about his performance against Leicester was he didn't have to do anything dramatic. He didn't have to do anything, he didn't have to I don't know if he did it out of, natural instinct or to lift up the squad or whatever. He doesn't have to do that now based on what we've seen around him in that performance. And there's a little bit more trust and he's got a little bit more protection by having Schlupp next to him, to be fair. For me, 100%, I'd love to see some kind of consistency out of Eze now. He looks like he definitely look a lot more like his confident self and he looked like the player he could be. So he'll be one. I think Eze and Elise are the ones I want to see step up. They're the creative outlets. They're the ones that are going to be able to potentially create the goals and they're the ones that are going to be our main attacking threat in terms of what we've got going forward. I think for me, Elise is definitely, I'm going to start pushing this narrative. I believe that Elise is the guy. He's the chosen one. He's next up. For me, I feel like he will be our next superstar. And I think if he gets in and cuts in on that left foot, he's going to give Leeds a ton of problems, to be fair. I would love to see essentially Ebbs and Elise kick on from that performance. I just don't want it to be a flash in the pan or a response or a new manager bounce. I just want to see that they've been told, look, you got the ball now, go like smoke. Go and push, go and take it on to that next level. Become the players that we know you can be. And I feel like both of them have got more than enough ability in them to be able to do that. And I just hope that now that Wilf has come out, and I think I might mention this in the ratings, is that now that Wilf's essentially out of the squad right now and potentially could be off, these are the ones that can be the guys. Those are the ones that can be our next superstars in the squad. If I'm looking at that squad on paper, those are the ones that I want to believe in. And those are the ones I believe in. And those are the ones I feel that can be the next massive thing out of the Crystal Palace.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. They need to step up. And they did. They did in the last game. But that's only one game. That game wouldn't mean anything if we start playing horribly in our next 9 or so games. It's still a massive game, this one. It starts here as well. So we need to see a bit more consistency from some of these players who've been very up and down under Vieira. It didn't work out this season. So hopefully now they bounce back. But look, massive game. Let's move on to the score predictions. I'm going to go for 0-0. Part of me says 1-1 as well. I want a draw. I think it could be a draw. For you, how do you see it going?
Oh, 2-1. Another last minute one.
Another last minute.
Palace. No, I don't know if it'll be Mateta this time. I feel like it might be like a little Elise sneaky.
Like gay.
Do you know what? We're overdue an Anderson header, man. We're overdue an Anderson header from a set piece as well. So that's going to be the first one. And Elise is going to whip in a dirty free kick. With Elise last minute dirty free kick, man. I feel it, man. Nice little 30-yard bang, top corner.
You're going for a win. I'm going for a draw. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section down below. How do you see this game going in terms of score prediction? That's it from me and AJ. Share us your thoughts on the game in the comment section down below. If you haven't already done so, make sure to leave a like on the video if you have enjoyed it and subscribe to some future Palace content. And until next time, up the Palace.